Welcome everyone to the new episode of the NBS Podcast. In today we have unusual episode, not with the professional speakers, so special guests, but with the students from NEURO Business School. And I'm glad to introduce you to Daniela, the student from Neuromarketing Master, and Prateep, the same major as well. Guys, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
I don't want to start from something scientific straight away. So could you please share your stories, how you decided to start studying neuromarketing? Like how you come up with the idea to choose that major? Or maybe you can tell something about your background.
Yeah, me? Okay. Yeah, well, I study industrial engineering in Colombia. And I always like everything to do with psychology, but I did not want to study psychology. But literally in that moment, I was too lazy to read. So I say, I will not study psychology. That's really the truth. So after a time, I always interested in understand why we act, but why, just understand why. Because after all, we are today the people we are, but we have our backgrounds and we have histories inside us. So in the moment after I graduate, I start working in the commercial area, and I say, okay, it's time to study a master. And I say, okay, what do I study? And I say, okay, let's find if there's something about psychology, because I always like it. Perhaps I can study something about it. And then I started researching, and I saw that it's something called neuroscience. And I was, okay, what is that? Let's understand a little bit more. And then I saw it was masters that are like applied in or neuromarketing or neurobusiness, and in fact I like the one of neurobusiness because it's more general. It's not only marketing; it's more general. And I said, okay, it's interesting because I can finally like see a little bit of the psychology, but in like now seeing in what I do that is more in the commercial way. So that's practically the story what I chose.
Yeah, that's great. I suppose lots of people have such interest, but the major in psychology is quite specific, so it's interesting to understand how you actually implement such knowledges into the business and in real life. And what about you, Prateep?
So I came in from the other angle. So I started university in University of Sydney in Australia in 2019. So I started with economics and psychology, a double major. So my interest was very much into human behavior from the onset. But I soon found out that economics wasn't quite aligning with my interests. So I sat through a class of neuroscience of my friends, and I loved the lecture. When we started talking and looking about the brain, I was just like, yes, this is what I want to do. Psychology doesn't fuel my interest enough. So I double majored in neuroscience and psychology. So it's now been a couple of years since, and I've completed the degree of neuroscience and psychology around October this year. So straight after, I wanted to do masters. I didn't want to have like a gap in between because then you lose the momentum and so on. So yeah, then I was looking at doing a master's in Europe since the second year of my university. So Europe straight up jumped out as an option because this is the birthplace of neuroscience and behavioral science as a whole. And when I saw that there is a program on neuromarketing, which not many universities offer, and neuromarketing is a combination of my interest, which is in neuroscience in a marketing context, that to me, that just jumped out as an obvious choice. So yeah, that's what brought me here.
I suppose you just found your passion straight away, like almost from the first try. Okay, we start from economics, but then smoothly we go to neuromarketing. And as a neuromarketers who already like visited a couple of lectures, who finished their first model, could you tell how the human brain have an effect and influence human behavior, basically? Could you explain it maybe in the simple words? Which role does the brain take?
Go ahead.
So the brain has a combination of roles. So if we look at the prefrontal cortex, for example, that's like this part of the brain, that is more about looking at our surrounding and taking in the information to then process it. But if we look at these sort of bands on the sides, these are for sensory areas of the brain. And the entirety of the brain is a bundle of neurons, like neuronal highways and roads and pathways through which constant signals and electrical activities going on. And different parts of the brain are different for behavior or like understanding your environment, safety, and so on. So especially when we look at the sides of the brain where we're looking at the sensory information, I find that particularly interesting because we can quite literally, if we look at the brain on a tangential level, we can pinpoint which area corresponds to which parts of our body and how the senses get collaborated in.
Does it help to understand consumer behavior?
Yeah, totally.
So basically, by understanding how our brain created and how it works, we could predict or control consumer behavior. But my next question is there an ethical line between, like tricking your customers or using such information, between that play with the person brain? Because lots of customers, they don't understand that we have a communication and reacting with their brains, particularly not with them as a customers. So where is the border? What kind of information we could use or how we could influence them?
Right.
I think after all, everything now, like in neuromarketing or in neuro business and the neuro experience, are more based on experience. So how do we make our customer centric? How, when he goes or online or to the store, he can have a better experience. So I think the line is that, I mean, we gave them the experience, but after all, I think they can choose if, I mean, after there will be, or I don't know, not everyone will be happy or will have the same effects than in Patrip, than in Sofia. So I think that's the line because after all, we are not all the same people. So perhaps today I like, and I enjoy the experience and I will buy, but you will say, no, for me it was not that motivated, so I will not buy today. I think that's the line because after all, it's an experience, but not all the people will have the same effect. That's what I would say.
So it's like we're not aimed to conquer all the brains.
Exactly. We can make a little bit better the experience, and of course the people will enjoy it. But I don't guess the 100% of the people will say, yes, I'm going to buy this.
Okay. And if we go deep into the emotions, because I suppose the emotion is the main instrument of the neuromarketer, how we use the emotion of the customer, but without manipulating. So could you share the examples of different neuromarketing tools or how we use basically emotions and senses?
Yeah, going on from the previous question, I completely agree. So the ultimate decision lies on the consumer. And there is a quote, I can't remember who it's by, but it basically goes along the lines of neuromarketing is mindful merchandising. It is not manipulation. And that is something I agree with because neuromarketing looks at how can I match a service provider to a B, which is an optimum customer. And as neuromarketers, we shouldn't associate ourselves with only the service provider or only the customer. We if we look at it from the middle, then we're connecting the right people to the right consumers and vice versa. So, and going ahead with that line of where the ethical boundary lies, I think if we look at present day marketing tactics, ethics is always sort of a murky water because the moment we sign on with social media or even with outside of social media, our data is the currency of modern day marketing. So where the ethical boundary lies is as long as no one is making the purchase on your behalf with your money, that's to me that's the ethical line.
Okay. I suppose like it could be quite arguable and controversial for different people from everyone's side, and maybe later there will be some kind of a list of rules or even laws what kind of personal data you could use or how you could influence the customer or what you can't do. Some kind of a prescriptions, but we're still looking like into the future how the neuromarketing going to be improved, how what's going on the market. And as I asked, what kind of examples we could share of the neuromarketing strategies, like how we use the emotions in real life. Could you bring the examples?
Festive season is one of the biggest ones. Like if you look at the Christmas advertisements at the moment, they're full of emotion. They're full of trying to get the family together. It's a family time, and most of the people will be traveling back home if they live outside their home country. And the way they evoke emotions of home, of warmth, of having dinner together, these are the emotions that are deep-seated within us from the time we grow up, because that is generally how most people grow up to see a festive time as. So as long as the company can tap into those emotions, they can get the customer's attention.
What instruments companies use to actually to get those emotions? So I suppose if we will just show the picture of happy family on the banner, it's not going to work efficiently. So what else the company should use to, to get the most of emotions?
I think also the smell. When you go in a shop, or let's keep the Christmas Christmas example. So I don't know. Right now, when you go to a shop that sell, I don't know, Christmas decorations, it literally smells like home. I don't know, like so. When you go inside, you smell, and they usually use, I don't know, scents to record you that you are at home, like you're cozy. So of course you also feel, I mean, you see the Christmas decorations, you see everything, you're like, oh, I want to buy this, but also you are emotionally because you are, it's Christmas, it's the moment, it smells like home. I don't know.
Okay, so we have those like pictures of happy families, the smell of Christmas tree, maybe some citrus, like something, some kind of dishes associated with the festives and holidays. What else? Do you have any ideas?
So like in Instagram, for instance, social media influencers who are working with a brand, they might look at, for example, if we're going along with the idea of olfaction and sense of smell, the way they express their emotions after smelling something, because you can't really describe smell through a phone screen. So their emotions and the facial expression that they're showing, that actually carries a lot of information. There was a study done in psychology that even if we have a neutral mood and we don't feel like smiling, if we force ourselves to smile, then it will trick our brain into thinking we're happier than we are. So bringing that context into this example, if the person smelling the aroma is all of a sudden very happy and they express emotions of, oh, this is so nice, the customer from the other end of the screen would associate the same emotions and to some degree would fire the same neurons in their brain as if you're smelling a really good thing without actually smelling it.
Wow, that's interesting. Okay, so we have the sense of the smell, we have like the vision, I suppose also some kind of a touch, because if we go physically to the shop, all those Christmas tree, all those shining decorations, you want to touch, you want to look at it, to just hold in your hand. Vision, smell, any more?
Touch, you already say touch, vision, smell.
Yeah.
Hear, I mean,
Yeah.
of course, when you go into a shop and you start hearing the Christmas songs, everyone, that's also perfect. You're just in the mood, like, okay, it's the time of the year.
Agreed.
And you just get happy, like, okay.
Christmas song everywhere. I mean, even the coffee shops, like Christmas playlist, then the shops with decorations. Even though, as you said, the influencers on the Instagram, they start to post something, but with the sound added, and it's definitely gonna be like the Christmas songs. And in such case, when we working with emotions, does emotions make our customers loyal to our brands? What basically makes our customers loyal?
Loyal in terms of attracting them, yes, emotion is like if you can emotionally invoke someone and attract them to your business, that's a very good strategy. But keeping the customer, it has to be a balance between emotionally keeping them engaged and whilst also delivering the promise. So, as long as we use emotion with the delivery of the product or service to the quality that you expressed, then that's a good sort of way to keep the customer loyal to your brand.
Yeah, because I suppose you won't be able constantly proceed these things and reach the emotion, because at the end the customer gonna get tired when constantly I will try like smell this, try this, touch this. You're like, okay, I was happy for like a couple of minutes in your shop, but I can't be like happy 24/7.
Yeah, and the whole day, all the time. Hey, go.
Yeah, so I suppose there should be strategy, the certain one, not to attract, to make the just one-time purchase and then leave, but to make people basically stay with you,
Exactly.
with your brand. And in such case, let's think about the instruments we could use. Some kind of reminders, I suppose, like basic email campaigns.
Yeah, I mean, after all, I think the real like work begins when your customer buys, because after all, it's like, okay, perfect, you already buy me once, but of course I would love to you buy me more, or you come back, whatever is my business. So that's the moment when you say, okay, I need that also my client connects with me as the values. I mean, because if I'm a company that or my business is a business that my values like get aligned with my client's values, it will be easier that he says, oh, hey, I like this because I feel we're aligned. So but the question is, but how does my clients know what my values are? So of course we can start like when we subscribe to a channel, so we can send him, hey, it's Christmas time, so come here and I give you 10%, or tomorrow is your birthday, or I don't know, right now we're doing a campaign to help tourists. I don't know, something that the clients know that we're more than just a company that sells products. And that's when and that's like a pyramid, because of course we have clients, but they start, the loyals one are of course few, and the idea is that they get bigger and bigger and bigger. But that's how I think it works.
Yeah, in terms of sensory perspectives, like we discussed this in the lectures, where we start by assessing all the sensory elements that are used in our brand, and then selecting the ones that show most promise and are most associated with our customers. And then we enhance it even further and create a bond with our customers. Once we get to that stage, which is quite hard to get to, we create a bond with our customers that even if they have an alternative choice at a cheaper price or even other benefits, they are more likely to stay loyal to the brand.
So basically, we have to find some kind of a personal touch points, and that what makes customer feel special. Like it's only for me.
Exactly.
Like I'm the special one, and because of that reason, I will think about the next purchase. And we've been talking about the regular shops, about the retail, but does the neuromarketing strategies varies in different industries? If it's not just reselling, how we could implement it? Like I don't know, the real estate, or for instance the food business, which is like restaurants or cafes.
Well, I was thinking of airlines, because if you look at the airline business, the money is basically dead money from a customer end. You have to pay a certain amount to get from point A to point B, and there is no way to get around it unless you happen to walk, which is not an option always. So if we look at Emirates, Emirates is one of those premium luxury sort of brands in the airline business. The way they interact with their customers and the sensory experience of boarding their aircraft and flying, it's vastly different from other full-fledged carriers or even, of course, the budget airlines. The main sort of sensory elements they use is they give free products at all classes, economy to first class. And this makes the long haul flights a lot more comfortable. And if you can put on like lotions on your hands or on your face that smell good and you associate those with the brand, then you automatically develop some sort of brand loyalty. And they purposefully try to avoid turbulent air, even if it takes a bit longer and a bit more fuel to get there. So these sort of elements, even if they are subtle and not very prominent, the customer will sort of keep them in their head. And with sensory experiences, we can really change the perception of a brand and, of course, influence brand loyalty.
And it can be applied in every industry. I mean, you just said an example, but of course, real estate too. If you're going to see a place, and because I want to buy a new apartment, and I go there and it smells like clothes or dry or something, I won't buy it. It's like, okay, thank you very much. And it could be the best and beautiful apartment that you've ever seen. But if the smells is not good, I would just walk away. And same with a car, or car is of course retail, but I don't know, services in general. If you have not a good experience in the moment, you're not going to buy it.
Yeah, that's true. Completely agreed. Basically, it could be implemented to any kind of industries, and I suppose even that every industry could use all the senses and implement it somehow to, of course, to receive those emotions and positive customers. And if we go deep a little bit from the marketing part into the tech part, because neuroscience, neuromarketing is the combination between the tech and marketing, and science as well. If we talk about the technologies that we use in neuromarketing, such as eye tracking machines, EEG, which is electroencephalography, fMRI, how do neuromarketers work with such cool things?
In my previous degree, I looked at this from a very clinical sense. So looking at it from a marketing angle, I'm absolutely loving it because in my old university, I looked at eye tracking as, such a cool machine, just came into the uni, and they were used by senior PhD people only for like selected studies. But yeah, looking at eye tracking, now that I've realized that there are websites which have already used the data from users over time and created a sort of like a big data on how eye tracking is done on various different advertisements and different ad campaigns, like any sort of pamphlet and so on. It's really interesting to see how it can be used on a very sort of layman level. And I find that fascinating because now I can put an image and see how it will work well for a luxury brand versus a low cost oriented brand and so on. Yeah.
But that also help, for example, how I am going to organize my shop. So when I go in, what's the first thing the clients are going to see, or what's the things that they are keep seeing, or what are they do. So also that helps me as a company to say, okay, perhaps I already know that the people come here and the first thing they look is for the codes. So I'm going to put the first thing they are going to see are codes. So of course that not also makes easier for the customer when they go there. Oh, exactly, that's what I was looking. So that helps in any ways. And in the web page, of course, if I'm going to buy, you already know when our eyes are going when are most like call the attention. So of course, if I already know that this part of the web page is the one I want my clients see more, then how do I put it so that the way my clients will see it and call their attention?
Talking about website advertisements, it's pretty interesting how luxury brands like Apple, for instance, their website advertisements are always like a still image or a very slow-moving image. So customers are not constantly distracted by that. As compared to, let's say, like a hospitality industry that is trying to sell a package deal for a holiday, they always tend to use or manipulate rather color schemes in psychology. So they would want the user's attraction to go towards the site where the advertisement is, regardless of how, if it comes off as pleasant or non-pleasant. They just want the attention there. Yeah.
Yeah, in my opinion, it's great that basically eye tracking could be implemented everywhere, not only for the website or just for the single picture, like to estimate if this logo is great or not, or just compare two pictures. If it could be like online, it could be offline for the merchandising of your products inside of the shop, and I mean there is no limits for your fantasy how you could implement it and what you can try to track or check how the customer feels, as well as like campaigns, the video, and so on. And do you think that
And sorry,
Yeah.
because I just keep thinking. And especially now, for example, in Instagram or in YouTube, when we see an advertisement, I think it's the most challenging part, because it's okay. You as a user are always, okay, or I'm going to put next, and next, go to a video, with the thumb, like next. So how do I really call the attention of my client in that moment? I mean, we have like seconds. It's like 2-3 seconds. So how my client, what I am going to do to call their attention. So he will spend the next 5 minutes seeing me and not next.
Yeah.
So I think that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, actually, that is what I wanted to ask, is about how the things which we do online influence our like offline shops, or how what is the difference between online and offline presence, how we should them combine, or for instance how to improve our online presence.
So, like, continuing with the example of Instagram, it is already pretty insane how accurately Instagram targets the audience for advertisements. And it's no longer a theory or a phenomena that they use the microphone. They literally use the microphone to understand what we're talking about and create a customer profile. And of course, this is all in the terms and conditions if we read it properly. But yeah, at the end of the day, what I was like wondering is, if 10, 20, 30 years from now, could eye tracking be implemented natively within the device, which Instagram can access? Because then we're looking at even more targeted advertisements, and it might not even be a bad thing. So if we're scrolling through, seeing an ad, we don't like it too much, and now all the data Instagram has is how many seconds or milliseconds we're spending on the advertisement. And based on that, they create or curate other advertisements. But if they could combine that with the eye tracking feature through the front-facing camera, for instance, then they can also have another metric of measurement in the sense of how many milliseconds we're looking at the advertisements and where exactly are we focusing on the advertisement. So that's another angle to look at.
Yeah, true. You kind of turned back to the eye tracking, but if we simplify it, for instance, I don't know, I have a regular online shop.
Yeah.
What kind of advice would you give to improve my online presence? And is it like compulsory for me to open it also offline? Like,
Yeah, I mean, right now it's like the famous like omni-channel. That is because our customer should have the same experience online or offline. So, and of course, during the pandemic, when we couldn't not go to any place to buy something, so that's the moment where we say, okay, we have to be very strong online. And for example, if I'm selling clothes, well, for example, I love to go to see how it tastes, how it will look on me, because what if I put it in and I say, I hate it, I don't know, I hate how I look. So online, how do I do it? I mean, how do I know this sweater is going to fit me? So, for example, is how a website can manage that. I don't know. Send the size. Okay, if you're a person who, I don't know, you are this tall or you are this size, you better, I don't know, take this color. I don't know, like interact more with the person, giving tips or saying some advice that will make your decision even better. And when you will try it, when they comes to your house and you put it, you say, oh yeah, they were right. This definitely is my color.
so basically your advice is like the constant support and the size guides.
Yeah, no, the size guide, no, but more the size guide is the colors or tips.
Yeah,
I mean, like
like
I don't know, if you're a person who I will say an example. Me, I don't know. Your skin is too white. Perhaps you should use a green color. But another person, no, better a yellow one or better a black. I don't know, like some tips that it will make easier your shop.
Yeah, like the stylist inside.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like the stylist.
Yeah. And so I have a shop and I have a stylist online. What else? Like, what other steps for the optimization I could take?
Well, the basics one, of course, is that the website should be responsive for any platform or any size of device. And this is especially true for businesses that cater to all kinds of customers. So if you look at the business of Carrefour, for example, their entire idea is to sell as many products as possible to as many people as possible. So their website is pretty easy to use, easy to navigate, and loads exceptionally quickly, regardless of the device you're using. So these are subtle things that increase the brand value. And overall, if we're looking at how an online presence can complement the offline presence, I think at the end of the day, the online shopping experience and the offline shopping experience should have some sort of synergy between them. And an optimum example for this would be Apple. The way they've introduced motion within their website and videos, so like you have to scroll multiple times to see the motion come through, and it looks very beautiful, the product comes out. And that is kind of similar to their unboxing experience of the actual product. When you take off the cover, it comes off slowly, and then the device is there. It looks majestic. So as long as there's synergy in design language between the online and offline presence, that's how you build your brand presence.
Okay, that's interesting and useful, actually, because I could create a website, but how I would, be sure that it's going to work and bring me customers or make customers come back. And also, if we will look particularly on such elements from neuromarketing as like color psychology or font psychology, how it's used within the logos or maybe within those small ads, which are popping up and they stay in our brain, even though it was like a couple of seconds, but I will remember that ad more than I'm remembering that like 2-hour long video that I was watching.
Like in the class, we looked at the Apple's campaign for the winter and the Christmas. So it was the entire sort of video showed a presence of fuzziness because it was motion picture made with wool, and the entire advertisement, at no point did they want to sell an Apple product. Their entire message was about being kind, being nice, and yeah. So they use multiple marketing techniques, and it will stick in our head because it's so unique, because we don't always see motion animation images of wool, that too from a company like Apple. We don't normally associate them together. So yeah.
And color psychology.
Well, I think color psychology is really an art, because of course depends of what you want to show your clients. Of course, if I want, I don't know, to show that I'm a responsible person, or that I give a peace, or that I am more calm, I'm more serious, I could use a gray color because I want to show them that I'm more entrepreneur, I don't know, businessman or business. But if I want to show that I'm more relaxed, or give them like, hey, no, come here, or some sports brand or something from health, you could use blue because it's more calm. It shows more health, more security. So of course depends on what you want to show. You can use a color because we associate it with that. If you want to show happiness, if you want to show, hey, I'm fun, let's do yellow because we already, the happy face is yellow. So we already see, we do not realize that we already have the colors associated with some emotion. So of course, depends on what you want to show. That's, I believe the question you have to ask yourself is, what do I want to show my client?
Yeah, so basically our values, because we got used. Also, I suppose we got trained by the brands, because such brands as McDonald's, KFC, Burger King, it's like always red and yellow. And for instance, pharmacy is always green.
Green or blue, yeah.
Yeah, and so for example, I want to open my own pharmacy, and I decided to use like red logo. I mean, it definitely would be something strange, and
It
maybe
would be strange. I think you would recognize it like urgency. Like,
Yes,
like,
yes.
like.
Yeah.
Okay, if something happens, come here. But for urgency, not
Yes,
for to buy
exactly.
something.
Because it have like red color actually use to
alarm is
to
like.
alarm, so something urgent. And if I'm gonna, use it for the pharmacy, I mean, for the first aid, definitely 100%, but not like for the, tiny shop on
Yeah,
the street.
exactly. I mean, it would definitely will help, but I don't know if you want to show that.
Yeah. So if we want to open some kind of a business, we have to estimate our values to create what we actually want to represent and what kind of emotions our customers supposed to have looking on our logos.
Exactly. But the nice part of that is that there is no wrong and right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's beautiful. I mean, I think it's amazing because you can use whatever color you want. It's just what do you wanna show your client.
Yeah, I mean, there is nothing wrong with red pharmacy, but it's kind of questionable.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's another way, but yeah.
So we spoke about the basically, I suppose, color psychology, font. Let's talk about the font psychology, because it's also some kind of a trick for the vision and what kind of fonts we could use, like family fonts, how it implemented to real life.
So like one example pops to head is how Johnson & Johnson recently changed their logo. I believe it was either sans serif or serif before. Sorry, it's sans serif now, and it used to be script before. Because Johnson & Johnson traditionally has been associated with like baby products, baby oil especially, shampoo, and like very harmless, very innocent. From that, they've sort of moved industries in a way to produce vaccines for COVID. So now they're more of a serious company, and it sort of makes sense and follows that they've changed their logo to reflect that. So now when you look at Johnson & Johnson, it's no longer scripty, sort of innocent looking. Yeah. Now it's more of a company that means business, and they get things right. Yeah.
Serious children, like baby boss. I'm here.
Yeah.
And the last thing I would like to cover is the prices. Basically, the strategy for the pricing, or those crazy discounts, special offers, how everything works. Like the feeling of scarcity, the feeling of personalization, everything. What do you think about the pricing?
Pricing is amazing because of course, I mean, again, it depends of your business. But for example, if you're a technology company, it is difficult, the prices, because of course I am like, okay, I'm going to sell you compute, I'm going to sell you storage, but it's not so easy that you can say, hey, I give you a discount to buy a jacket. I mean, you cannot see the storage. It is there, but you cannot like touch it. So what is most common about this that these companies do are give you the freemium strategy. So it's like, okay, I give you always free, like 5 gigabytes, or in iCloud, or we have that. But if you want more, you have to buy. But they give you the trial. You can like literally feel how it goes, if you will use it, if it helps for you. Of course, right now I cannot have I have to pay iCloud, because if not, my photos will go loose. So I need it. It's also now it's a necessity, but before that I would not know that it was a necessity for me. So it depends, of course. With clothes, it's easy because I don't know, H&M, they have, like, if you're a client, you will have a special price, and they show you. It's like, okay, if you're a client, you will have 20. For normal people, you have 25. I don't know.
Yeah.
So of course you see, oh, I'm special because I'm the client. I will have a better price.
Yeah, I'm the member of the special
I'm member.
society.
I'm from this club, so of course I will have this better price. And you see, and sometimes there are not so much the difference, but it's more like, no, well, I'm special because I will have €5 discount.
And what do you think about that, red crossed lines, special discount, or like some kind of like not crazy advertisement, but basic one, you go through the shop and you can see on the whole window there's like a huge banner, here's like a sale, 50%. Does it actually work?
Yes, definitely. And the way they word it, that really makes a difference. Like they could say 50% off, or they could say half price, and the wordplay there is quite important. And also, like, this doesn't really come off as an obvious strategy, but when they do price staging for different products, like they have 3 options of the same product but different prices, and you always get the best deal if you buy the most expensive one with the most amount of quantity. But in the consumer head, you'd feel like, why would I want to spend that much when I can go for the middle option, which is always possibly the worst option, because you pay a bit more than the smallest option, but you don't get as much of a quantity. So that, I think, is the most common strategy used worldwide by food industry, by even retail industry, and so on. So yeah.
So those tricky packages.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And with color psychology, like the striking out with discount, that definitely works given a season, and especially with brands that are associated with having low-cost option. Like if a luxury brand did that, I don't think it would work as well. But if you go to like Carrefour or Alcampo and like you see those discount, you'd be more willing to buy it even if you don't need it.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I mean, there is also a difference between the segment of the market and the segmentation between the brands. Like, because some strategies which mass market use, it's not going to be suitable and useful for the luxury brands. And as a sum up, what is your opinion basically about the neuromarketing? Because I want to mention that we didn't finish the course yet.
Yeah.
And so it's just
just one model.
It's just the beginning. What do you feel?
And that what I saw, and that's something that I was saying, is that I think neuromarketing or the strategy is you have to combine very much. It's not only one. I mean, yes, of course you can use eye tracking, but if you don't mix it or you don't take advantage with other tools like fonts or color psychology or other things or price, then it would be like something missing. I mean, you have to combine, and of course depends on what you want to show, what you want to give your clients, but depends on that you have a lot of tools. It's just that you have to combine them. So I think it's really interesting.
And Pratik, what about you? Like because also you had like that scientific background in neuroscience, and when you now switch to the neuromarketing, doesn't it look, not scientific enough?
In terms of not scientific enough, no, I don't think so. So basically, if you look at neuroscience and the research that happens in neuromarketing or behavioral consumerism, behavioral economics, these are sort of related areas within the school of neuroscience. But I would say that in the world of science, in the world of academia, we have a sort of thing about analysis paralysis. So scientists love to analyze, but when it comes to actually implement the product into the market, there is a significant delay. So what I like about what we are studying is its direct implementation. So whatever we are studying, it could be applied to virtually every industry possible. So that is the leap of faith I took from coming from academic neuroscience to applied neuroscience. And so far, I'm loving it because it is what I wanted to learn. It is about how can I apply what I've learned into business. Yeah.
Okay, and the last question, nothing tricky, super simple, just chill. One moment which you remember from your classes, just something what stuck in your mind, and you're like, oh yeah, this was, I don't know, funny, or this was extremely interesting, extremely useful. Like maybe one thought you kept in your mind for a long time.
For me, it was definitely the time we went around in groups to analyze different shops, and we were looking at how they used sensory techniques as a marketing strategy. And yeah, I just remember if I did that on my own, or if I went on my own without that thought in the back of my head, I would have never realized all the marketing strategies that they're using. But with that straight focus on our head that we're going into a shop to analyze and like to really look at every nook and cranny, that how they've designed the store layout to represent the brand and pull in customers, like inbound marketing strategies, that was mind-blowing for me and really fun.
Yeah, I suppose it's always great not have only theoretical part, when you just have to sit and listen for hours or write something down, but also like for some time to see it in real life, to go out, to try to find it in real life. And it's also kind of activity like for our brain, not like sit and stuck on your computer, like, hey, let's go to move and explore something. And what about you, Danielle?
Well, for me, I think it was, that one was really good. But for me I have two. The first one was that couple of weeks that we saw a little bit more from autonomy. I know you are tired of that. But for me, it was like, wow, I finally understand really how. Because we understood a little bit more why the smell sense is like, it's more connected directly with the brain, otherwise from the other senses. So for me, it was like, wow, that makes a lot of sense. Like, wow, that you understand a lot of things. And for me, that was amazing. But the other is that when you start realizing that the big companies, I don't know, example Apple or Starbucks or McDonald's, how much effort they have to do how much you don't realize how much effort is behind every campaign of them, because you just see that and you're like, oh, okay, but when you start seeing all these tools, all these things you have to take it like in count, and you're like, wow, it's amazing when you realize how much work is behind that. So for me, that's what like
absolutely.
And when we walk and see that I was like, wow, when you realize how much effort is behind the marketing strategies, is
like even small stores. Like I remember we went into a cafe that was designed like a spaceship, and they have so many marketing tools they've used within their cafe, and it's really interesting to see that how small businesses can use neuromarketing as well to get the benefit, and it's not just big companies that use them.
Well, I really enjoyed to listen different opinions and views, because basically we've been on the same classes, but everyone has something like special on their own about the ideas they liked the most. And I'm also excited about the next models. I hope you too as well, because it's the beginning of the way. And already we had so much information, and constantly like thinking, keeping it on our mind. And the main thing that it's not only written on the paper and then we will forget it the next week. It's something which really nowadays like constantly in my mind when I'm going shopping, even online.
I'm like, no,
I'm
not
like,
good experience.
True. So I suppose we came to the end and we have no more questions. I just want to say thanks for us and wish lots of luck to us with our studies and completing the degree, raising professionals and professional neuromarketers. And I think that our future in our hands. Guys,
Thank you, Sophie.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.